Football this week as well. That's right. That's right. Full pads for the Noles tomorrow. Hall of Fame game Thursday, I think, right, Tom? Thursday it is?
Thursday's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, it is. It's so funny. It sneaks, and then it's all here. Just like that. So it's a fun time, but it's okay, let's get organized again time. It's okay, here's everything's accounted for, which is great. Let's just start with today. Being out there at practice this morning and watching them in preparations for tomorrow's fully padded practice. I think everybody's ready to go. I think the competition on the offensive line is everything I'd hoped for. I think there will be a contest at a couple of those positions that goes right up until the very end. I'm very excited to see what kind of progress is made at receiver because I'm going to tell you, there's been an infusion of hope for a couple of guys that maybe I didn't expect much from. And then there's some other guys that I'm kind of 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you waiting on. We got a nice mix of it all. I do think that maybe one of the things we believe to be true coming into the season, coming into the first week of practice and now into week 2, not only that the defense, which is always ahead of the offense typically at this stage, but we also thought that that's where the bulk of the talent on this football team is. That's where the depth of the talent is. And I think that's true. Not to say that there's anything that cannot be gained or done or improved upon on offense at this point. It's just that I think that they have more answers on defense right now than they do anywhere else, and that's exciting because I love defensive football. I love having some depth there. I want to see some guys that'll hit you, and I think we have a lot of candidates for that. First of all, and then you have emerging players. I don't know that there's a practice that I've been at. I've been at every one but one. I didn't go Sunday, so I've been to every other one, and that includes today. And there hasn't been one where Azareye'h Thomas didn't make a wow play or didn't make a play where you go, okay, well, I don't know how you're not going to play him. He's going to have to play. I don't know about start, but I mean, he's going to push for time over and over and over again. So that's a guy that not only pushes for time, but I think gets you giddy, gets you excited about his potential, what he's capable of. And what he's capable of is being an elite player. So I'm really excited about him as he continues to make it look rather easy for a guy his age. He shouldn't. It seems to me that it ought not be that effortless, and it seems to be effortless for him in a lot of ways. I'm excited to see what he does when he puts on the pads and we get after it again. But today was an interesting day. I thought that it was a mixed bag. Defense carried today for the most part. A couple deep passes today. I know we're not supposed to get into too big of details, but I thought it was important late to hit Micah Pittman there on a nice adjustment route there that that he could have just let that fly, but he recognized that adjustment down the seam there and made that catch. That was a big play. I thought that it was a decent adjustment. The ball was late, but A.J. Duffy on a touchdown pass to Toa Feely did a good job of, you and I talked about this over there, Tom, kind of leveling up, realizing what he had, and throwing him open too. So that was nice. Couple of gains there. They're not going to be very good at tight end right now. I just don't see that. Interesting candidates though moving forward there. I am curious. I don't want to get into too many details. They haven't had everybody. Cam's been in a boot. People know that. And so you don't have the guy that's your projected starter there. And they don't have a lot of depth of experience at the position, not quality anyhow. So I don't know I don't know that they can get that much better at tight end.
Yeah, to run down some of the things that you were saying from the top with Azareye'h, I found it interesting because Marcus Woodson spoke to the media today.
Yeah.
We get position coaches intermittently throughout camp. Mike spoke today as well. He wasn't on the schedule to, but he likes to.
He does that a lot lately, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're having good days too, so it's easier to say, all right, what do you need? But there's something that Coach Woodson said that was very similar to me. It spoke to a golf round that we played about 9 years ago now. In the preseason. You remember this? It was one of the position coaches was in a scramble group of ours.
Yes.
It was Lawrence Dawsey. And the hype was around Jameis Winston. And it was after the spring game where his first pass was a touchdown over LaMarcus Joyner to a walk-on. And we asked him, is he the real deal? I remember this. It's on 9T. We asked him. He goes,
No, I
well,
remember it specifically. Yeah.
yeah, he goes, I mean, they're not live yet. So, until they go live and the pads come on, I mean, I can't judge whether this quarterback's going to be able to handle that. So something that Woodson said today, even though defensive backs hit, is he said, well, 7-on-7 and in shells, he's as good as there is. But I want to see what happens on Saturday in the scrimmage. To me, that says that he's checked everything for Coach Woodson. He's like, man, he's exceeding my expectations. Now, if he can carry that over into full contact on Saturday, now we're talking. But that's the last hurdle. It was the same thing with Coach Dawsey back in that day, which was he's done everything he possibly can, except when we get into a game situation, make it happen. So,
and you'll never know the game situation part. Like he can be, as much as you can replicate a scrimmage, right? But he still has an inkling because he knows the playbook. He kind of knows what we're doing, so he can cheat a little bit. And so you really don't know until you get into a game and they set you up how you're going to handle that. I think they'll work on that with him because he is kicking down the door, and he has been from the first day that he arrived here. I don't know that there is a player on this team that is more universally agreed upon by those that cover the team as a future star that is Azareye'h Thomas. In fact, I know there isn't. There's not another player that would be on the top of that list besides Azareye'h Thomas. He would be the first guy named, and I'm not trying to speak for everybody that covers this team, but if you're out there every day and most, all the guys out there know who they are, you're going to pick that kid as probably the one to bank on. Now, there are candidates that you think will be good players, maybe even emerging as starters this year. But I'm just talking about that other level of, wow, that's different. It'd be him because the first week we ever saw him in spring, we were all taken.
The tour of duty. Yeah. I saw it with him and McCall because McCall was the 5-star all everything kid at 22. And Azareye'h was a signing day surprise, a pleasant one.
Right.
But, McCall is more of the known commodity as we're entering tour duty, if there is such a thing for a true freshman. And I'm watching him chop, 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 chop. And 11 can run. He's fast.
Yeah.
But then I'm watching the smooth strides of Azareye'h. He's rangier, he's taller, and he's stride for stride. And it looks like he's at third gear, maybe fourth. That's the kind of stuff that gets spooky. When you have that wingspan and that height and things don't look hard to you.
Yeah.
Like one of the plays he made today, and Coach Woodson was asked about this, so I think we're protected. It's a detail. It's kind of like what happened with Deloach and the interception he made in Gainesville last year, which is, I know what they're doing to me. So I'm going to break off my responsibility because I see the chessboard. I'm reading the chessboard. He's covering one player. He sees that they're flooding his area of the field with another because his responsibility is to follow his mark. He comes off it and makes a play on the ball. That's the next level. And it's something we should probably talk about more often because Duke Cooper didn't have fall camp, and he was one of our best defensive backs, our best corner by November.
Yeah, by the end of the year.
Development is pretty strong around these parts. I know, look, September was a joke last year. They were a joke in the secondary, but they figured it out. Akeem Dent's now a plus player from being a bust of a 5-star prospect. They've got precedent now of showing development and speeding up the process for some of these freak athletes to the point where they can play early on in their career. Kevin Noles is another example.
They have some buy-in there with those guys in particular. So I think that really was a lot of it, was identifying what you can and can't do, which guys are locked in and buying into what we're teaching and are willing to sacrifice to that end, which guys were not going to be. We had some headaches in that room, Tom, and they're no longer here. And that, I'm sure, did not help matters. Now, one of those headaches we're going to see this year, and he is a tough kid who played the game in a way that I appreciated. He didn't always cover well, but he played the game with a passion and a toughness that I think they'll miss a little bit of this year. In the run game, those guys coming up, Brownlee would hit you, and that actually kind of stoked a little bit of that enthusiasm in this defensive unit that you saw. So we'll see if there's somebody else that's going to do that. Could be Akeem Dent, Jamie Robinson. We'll see. Those guys right now, they're just kind of easing into camp, if you will. So
Woodson did go on the record again today, so we can say that Dent and Robinson are nursing some lingering things, and so you're seeing a lot of the backup safeties. So since that went on the record, we can mention that.
Shaheem Brown had a good day today.
Yeah.
One thing, and we're always careful about isolating players and talking about routes and things that they're doing because we don't want to get kicked out of practice. And, the access is great. but just lending context, I'll just give you an overview here. I know you've seen it. The guy, if in the roundtable, we get asked the question, who we expected more from, who we're pleasantly surprised by. I am pleasantly surprised by Deuce Spann. Today was a good day for him, so it's an easy talking point. But Deuce Spann's a guy that when he got here, immediately stood out because of his body type. He looks like an NFL wide receiver. So you see him and you go, that guy looks like he should play in the league. He's thick, he's muscular, he's tall, he's fast. Everything about him looks NFL. And then you watched him play in the spring and you went, oh, yeah, he's a former quarterback learning to play receiver. And you could just tell he didn't know how to really run routes smoothly. There wasn't a fluidity to him other than a straight ahead speed, which you knew, okay, at the very least, you might get something out of him in special teams and you can certainly send him over the top, try to lift the lid. But I don't know that he's going to really run complementary routes and make plays off of those. And, I just didn't, my expectations lowered because what I ended up thinking about him was, I'm glad we got him, but it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a couple of years. It's going to take some time. And by the end, we may be like, man, what a good get that was.
Right. For like 7 games when he figures it out or something.
Yeah. We were going to be like, man, that's going to be a good get. That's how soon can they make him part of something with this offense? How could you use him in the quick game? The jet sweep stuff. Could you use that speed? Could you use him on special teams? Like I said, run a 9 with him. You could get him to little things here and there to get him to keep him locked in. But if this is any indicator, he is maturing and growing up and adapting and figuring things out a lot quicker than I would have guessed. He actually ran 2 to 3 different route combinations today that looked like he had a clue and made 2 catches out of those breaks, got his head around, got his hands up, made that catch. I don't know. They may end up getting him to contribute pretty significantly this year, and that would really help this offense because they need another guy or 2 amongst those receivers.
Yeah, he's naturally gifted. Even in those 5 catches we saw when he transferred, there are a couple where he displays soft hands. You're like, well, I mean, so maybe it's instinct. He's got a clue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about the polish. And we got out and saw spring camp, and it's like, oh man, route tree. It's a route stick. He doesn't have a route tree. It's just one stick. And now the nuances are starting to show.
Right.
And that piggybacks off of something you said last week. And I'm not sure if it was on the air. We were just talking at practice, but that they spent so much time with him. You spend time with kids who can help themselves and help your team.
Yeah.
And also you spend time with kids who are invested in getting better. So I thought that was a good sign because if you're just going to blow off instruction, they're not going to waste their time giving you extra instruction or being on you after every rep. So I thought that was a good sign about buy-in from him. And then today, you're right. I mean, across all phases of practice, so keep it very general.
Yeah, he was good.
There were flashes, and you're like, oh, well, that's what a receiver would do in that moment. Nuances to creating space for himself, things like that.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time, I think, in our effort to kind of never sugarcoat things and to give an honest opinion of what we're seeing. And we can be wrong about things and we can be right about things. I mean, that's all understood. That's the nature of the beast. But, I can certainly look at a guy early on and not have a good vibe, not have a good feel and say to myself, well, he's going to take a little time. And then we'll get on the show and somebody will ask about a kid and they're really excited about him. And I always feel bad if it's a guy that I've watched and thought to myself, well, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but so-and-so's not any good yet, or he's got a ways to go, or it's going to be, beyond this season before we start getting excited about him. I always feel bad because, at that point, you got a person who's excited. They probably follow the person in recruiting. Maybe they've even met the kid, whatever it might be, and they want them to succeed. And then you're, dousing them with cold water. Well, I also feel compelled when I see a guy who fits that mold, who I don't think you're going to get a lot from, who didn't exactly light the world on fire in spring and now has made huge strides. I feel the need to definitely bring that up time and again. And I'll tell you why, because it means he's been working from that time to this time. It didn't just happen these 5 days. He
right. It's evidence of caring.
Yes, he's cared a lot and put in the time this summer before camp started. There's no way you just got here after, this time apart and without working on your own and really trying to polish routes, there's no way he's made the strides that he did just solely through one spring. No, he's worked hard this offseason.
But it's not, in order, because I hear us talking about this, and I'm on the consumer side. I'm like going there if I'm on Warchant TV or driving around town, like, oh, so this guy's gonna be a badass. No, it's right now. It's signs of life. It's legitimate signs of life where we didn't think there were going to be some, but
I didn't think he would contribute this year.
Consistency is the next thing. It's like, it's nice that we see that you can do these things, but there are moments where you go,
and that's going to continue to happen. But it's so early in camp right now, and he's doing it time and again. I mean, it's not the first time that I've looked over at you or looked over at Ira or Corey or Aslan and just said, C5 again? I mean,
okay.
C5
So
again?
We split up, divide and conquer at different portions of practice because they split up the segment groups. And everybody I talked to today who had a different assignment when there was skill maybe, and I wasn't looking at skill, and there was one time where we were looking at trenches together, and that was a fun, couple periods. And I said, hey, Deuce looked good. And when I said, oh, yeah, you know what? Yes.
Yeah.
When I was watching him too, and you weren't. So today was a good day for 5.
It was a real good day for 5. So I'm happy for him. And, let's see if he piggybacks that and has a good day in pads tomorrow, full pads tomorrow. They've been in shells. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and it's just so good that I think the evidence of having 90% of your roster out there for spring is all around us. They're able to hit install quickly. They're able to get after things and not have to constantly teach.
There's not a lot of stopping in basic instruction. I mean, there's hardly any, really. The only thing they're saying is move faster. You know where you're supposed to go. That's nice, because last year at this time, there was a lot of stopping and starting.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing to point out today is that I will watch, just as you do, every practice, long periods of time in the trenches, because the fights there are really fun to take in for a lot of reasons. That's an excitable bunch, the defensive line and the depth there in the ends. And then you've got guys fighting for jobs on the offensive line. And you marry those two. Like, one group's really confident and a lot of guys brimming with confidence to the point of arrogance on that side of the ball. And then this other group where you have some veterans, but you also have some guys fighting to take those veteran spots. And there's a legitimate, I guess, 3 spots on that offensive line that I think they're competing for. You marry that, you're going to get some violence. You're going to get extreme competition, which is what makes everybody better in the trenches.
Yeah, 2 of the guys to watch closely, just because they're new but experienced, are Dimitri Emanuel and Justin Turnentine, because it's kind of like the old adage about college football where the most improvement you see is from your first game to your second game in a given season. Well, Turnentine, not as much as Emanuel. Emanuel hasn't seen this level in practice, not even close to it, of competition and individual drills and team drills and all this stuff. And already within a handful of practices, I'm seeing kind of like that week 1 to week 2, incremental, exponential, whatever term you want to use. There are times where he looks very much like he just came from Charlotte. And then there are times where you say, oh, okay, so he learned from last rep. It's his turn again. And look at okay, Dimitri, I see what you're doing. Same thing for Jazz.
Yeah, Jazz is a little bit more to the extremes.
Yep.
He has a great rep where you go, there it is. And then you're like, ooh, that was a toughie. It's great. And I don't think anybody get mad at us about this, coaches or otherwise. I'll tell you what.
This is where I wince.
No, it's just a reminder of how football's tough, man. And the difference between being a dominant high school player and then getting thrown into the trenches at the college level, at this level, I can only imagine. There have been times that Julian Armella and others that are young who have such promise. They're going to be such good football players. They just get overwhelmed. You should be. You should be. There's nothing wrong with that. You learn from it. But, man, there are moments where you're like, ooh, kid, that's a toughie.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
That's a footprint in your chest. That happened more than once. And I'm just like, whoo, that's a grown ass man. I won't get into the individual matchup, but you had a grown ass man catch him off balance.
Yeah.
On a bull rush. And it's just like, oh, this isn't going to end well. You can see it.
It's like anything else. You're the best from where you were, and so am I. But guess what? I'm 21 or 22.
Yeah.
And I'm technical, and you're not.
Yeah, and I've had 4 years in a weight room.
But what's interesting, yes,
in college,
and a couple of, but it's amazing to me how close Armella looks to being in that group. Like you could tell me as a redshirt sophomore, I'd be like, yeah, that seems about right. A little bit more development, considering the kind of recruits that we bring in here in recent years. Yeah, that looks like a 20 or 21-year-old by our own offensive line standards. But asking Jared Verse yesterday, I was out there and he was one of the interviews. And I said, is there anybody, that's a newcomer? There's a lot of new faces on the O-line that's impressed you. He said, well, when I got here in January, guys were talking about Julian. I'm like, who's Julian? Why is everybody? He's not on the roster. And he said, then I saw him and I realized, oh, that's going to work. That kid's going to work.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of moments where I saw something unique out of Julian that I have not seen here in some time. And one of that is one of those aspects is his speed off the line. Like if you need him to get from point A to point B, again, I won't go into schematics. I can't believe how fast he is in a straight line. You're going to be able to do a lot with him, not just put him on an island and let him go block on the blind side or whatever it is that he eventually does. But if you want to move him places in order to create angles, that dude is lightning quick.
Now he's
going
to get bigger though, Tom. He's going to get bigger. Yeah, no,
those feet are good. And that first move off the line, that's an athlete.
It's good to see. Yeah, no, it is. It's just funny to watch. This is indicative of any football team where the freshmen come in and they have a lot of expectations. If you put a guy in the trenches, it is so rare that a freshman offensive lineman, and every now and then you get it with a defensive lineman like Timmy Jernigan, where you're just like, well, that's different. He's just picking people up off the ground. I mean, Tim was very different. But most of the time, like freshmen can come in and do what Thomas is doing.
The Lions.
Yeah. And you can you look around and you're like, okay, well, that kid's doing this and he's going to but most of the time you'll step back and you look in the trenches, an offensive lineman, it's just the difference between beating up on people in high school, whom 99% of the time when you line up across from a kid in high school, if you're as big as Julian Armella, you just manhandle. I mean, it's not even technique.
Yeah, use your pinky.
You're just going to manhandle guys, right? So when you get here and you've got, I mean, let's just say it, you got some sons of bitches out there that like they want to dominate. They explode.
Oh, if you're in short yardage and goal line on this offensive line right now, you're going to be so prepared for the season.
Buckle up. I mean, trying to block Briggs is
right.
I mean,
as an end,
I mean,
next to Lovett, next to Cooper.
Good luck. I mean, that's a big man who's playing angrily and violent with heavy hands. You watch those hands and you go, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Also, you and I saw Mr. Verse, who's considered to be more finesse, use strength today in a way that was very impressive. So even though he's not the size of Dennis Briggs, he can push you back if he needs to.
Yeah, no, he's strong, and he'll tell you about it. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, you, can't you read the sign? It says, keep off the grass. Oh, but I just wanted to feel it. Excuse me? I wanted to feel what it was like to have an amazing lawn like you do. It always looks so good, even in the summertime. How do you do it, neighbor? They're called Lawn Johns. They come once a week. Maybe you should give them a call so you can tell other people to stay off your lawn. How's that sound? Ooh, yes. I would love to tell people to stay off my lawn. For the very best in lawn care, call the Lawn Johns at 850-322-2567. Stay off my lawn.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Are you prepared for more severe food shortages? It's likely that over the next year, serious food shortages will plague us. American farmers are dealing with insane diesel fuel prices and fertilizer shortages, which will lower crop yields. And that means your family's favorite foods will soon be in short supply while fetching sky-high prices. Inflation is the new normal, folks. It's time to act before things get even worse. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com without delay. You'll find ready-hour emergency food kits from My Patriot Supply that last up to 25 years in storage. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories a day to keep your energy up. Order your emergency food kits today by going to MyPatriotSupply.com. Your food ships fast and arrives in unmarked boxes. Listen, there are ways to beat food shortages. When you're ready for real preparedness, make sure to look for ready-hour foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now. MyPatriotSupply.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Joining us, just getting started, and it should be a fun, busy week. A lot of opportunities. Tom, put that back up on the screen, would you? We got an amazing offer here, calling all FSU fans for a limited time. You can obviously continue to follow Warchant.com and do so on 3. A buck gets you everything, all that we do. $1 for 1 year. That is like, it's $1.
It's quite the incentive.
It's $1, everybody. So, you're going to want to do that and go on over there and get yourself locked in here for $1 for 1 year. That's a good deal.
The good thing is that all the servers, at the switchover at midnight last night, which was a great show, had hundreds of people stop in between midnight and 2 a.m. Eastern to watch our Midnight Madness program. When you're switching a website from one place to another, sometimes it doesn't always update. And so you're in the browser, you're like, hey, I thought there was a new place I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to the old place? Well, that's all done now. So you just go to warchant.com, which is familiar to all you out there. And then you'll see a green box at the top of the screen. And that's how you find us.
Clickety-do. It's not hard. Just follow the little path.
I believe
there.
That's the technical term too.
Yeah, clickety-do. Like, oh, what are you doing over there, Bob? He says I got to do the clickety-do. Well, then click it. So really quickly, a couple of questions here, or at least observations, and folks asking us about this. And we've been out there again for all. I've seen every practice but one. And he was hearing about drops with wide receivers. I don't know that Jason, that the drops have been the biggest problem. There are some drops. You're going to have drops in camp occasionally. And there are guys that I talked about how shocked we were the other day when Micah Pittman dropped 2 or 3 balls. That is completely out of character. He had a much better day today. Caught the football very well. Made a really tough catch along the sidelines in traffic. Made a big catch down the seam. He looked more like himself. I don't think when I talk about the wide receivers, I don't think when I talk about the receivers, I'm as worried about drops as I am the lack of talent, the depth of talent. I don't think that's a above average group. If you said, what's the unit on this team that you think has got to come the furthest for this team to be capable of winning the Atlantic and playing for a conference title, like I'm talking about where we want to go. I'm not talking about where we are, where we want to get to. They've got to get some receivers in here. They don't have enough. Now, they're hoping and their gamble, and it's a good one. It's what you have to do when you're lacking something, is that you threw some numbers at it via the transfer portal. You got really unlucky. We've talked about this a lot, that one of those guys who happened to be the most experienced at the Power 5 level got hurt in a car crash. Now, he's out there, by the way. Winston Wright is out there walking around. You've seen him. I've seen him. He had his shoulder pads on today, just walking around. He works out while the team is doing their thing. He often goes to the back and works out. And I'm sure they have him riding the bike and doing what they can to get him to where he can start running. And he's not doing that right yet. And I don't want to get any more detailed than that.
Please don't.
Yeah, but he's out there is the point. A lot of people want to know, is he out there? Yes, he's out there every day. And he's talking with the coaches and he's observing. In fact, I can tell you this, and I'm sure they have no problem with this. I saw Jordan Travis the other day come over to him, and they were talking about a route against a look. And he was going over the different machinations with him about where that should have gone and why. And Jordan was responding to him, and they were having a really good give and take. It's not the first time that I've seen that. The reason I bring that up is he's engaged. He's watching. He's trying to get those mental reps in so that when he can participate fully, he'll be able to do that. And that's something to get excited about.
Well, he's trying to be here until December. Then that's it. I mean, that's his goal, and that's fine. The transfer portal will do that for you. Is even if guys have multiple years of eligibility left, like think about it, Tatum Bethune. Tatum Bethune is going to be a nice player. Every day there's another player. Every day I go, that's going to work. At least once or twice, he'll make a play that's different. We didn't have that last year. That's going to help us. There are multiple players on this roster, skill positions and otherwise, who might technically have another year to come back and play, and they don't want it. They want this to be the money year, because the other thing to consider with COVID eligibility is you're old when you come out. If you exhaust all of your eligibility, you're 23, 24 years old, and NFL teams are like, well, you're shot in one contract. We're not going to take you. So Wright is trying to get to a place where he puts enough film out there, produces enough for Florida State in the process that it's academic, and he can just go on and make his money at the next level.
And I want him to be able to do that, because it means he's contributing this year in a big way, and that's helping Florida State win games. We'll see. I'm not projecting that he will or he won't. I don't know. I don't have the medical before me. I'm not a doctor. I just know he's at practice every day, and that's exciting. He's not. We'll see. We'll see how quickly he can get up to full speed. But when I talk about the depth of receiver or the lack of talent, you just don't have a lot of huge playmakers on this roster at that position. Guys that change the scoreboard in a hurry, guys that can absolutely ruin a defense's day with 1 or 2 deep balls, 1 or 2 big plays, runs after a catch. There aren't a lot of guys like that. You're looking for incremental growth from a guy like Malik McClain. Well, great. Malik McClain's still really young, early in his career. But Malik McClain is not going to be mistaken for Peter Warrick. It's not that kind of talent. He's just a big kid who's getting better and better at using his body and running routes. But he's not a game breaker. He's just a solid receiver right now.
Here's what's interesting. Okay, this is a player where I know you weren't out there yesterday, but I've seen more from Malik than I did in spring. Do you agree with that or no? Maybe some of that was yesterday.
I think he marginally so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
because it was a largely anonymous spring. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it was. He's been better so far.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm excited to see him in pads. He's such a big body, but they've got
Yeah, tomorrow's a big day.
It is a big day. They got some dead weight at that group, though. That's all I'm saying. They do. I mean, look, man.
Breaking news.
You had guys that you really were excited about when they committed. Some of those guys, far less excited about now, and you're like, okay, that's not going to work out. We're gonna have to get another guy, and that I hate that, but that's the way it is. Now, I don't know one way or the other how you feel about Johnny Wilson up to this point. I can't get a sense of anything with that kid right now.
I just graded incomplete at this point. When pads come on, they get into more situational stuff, things that we won't be able to talk about. I mean, just listen for generic takes a week from now. It's like, hey, Johnny's been pretty good. But it's, I think right now the receivers that have more consistently flashed, Pittman, of course, McClain at times. Pokey has a moment here or there too.
Yeah, Pokey's just your quiet veteran who knows where to be. Yeah, he's solid. He's just solid.
Kentron every once in a while.
Kentron,
and then Deuce is just kind of the funny experiment.
You're like,
right
well, hey, yeah, maybe they got something there. Kentron, I'm holding out hope. How about that? I'm holding out hope.
Yeah. Kentron's
done enough so far in camp where you're like, he had a decent spring. Looks to be elevating his game a little bit. Okay, Kentron, I'm looking at you.
That's more you than me right now, but I look forward to seeing pads because it's going to change. The whole math of everything is going to change after 2 or 3 days of that. Because I'll bet you that a couple of players that are sleeping right now, at least in terms of, you're reading our observations on warchant.com, but you can for just $1 for the year.
Just $1.
Go ahead. I bet you there's a couple of names that you're going to say, oh, wait a minute, because tomorrow, and it's break Wednesday, but tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, assuming they go full pads all 3 days, maybe they'll 2 out of 3, the weight of those observations is much heavier, is much more significant than these shells days or these basically football pajama days.
Yeah, get into the pads and also get that scrimmage. Get into that scrimmage and let's see what happens. We get into a full scrimmage. Coaches are going to tell you what they want to tell you, but we'll hear. We'll know.
I've never run a football camp, sir, but wouldn't you expect maybe pads tomorrow and Thursday and they ease up on Friday?
Yes.
Probably
You're not going to let it. Yeah, you're not going to get after them on a Friday before a scrimmage.
Right, exactly right.
Absolutely. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A stabbing night before last in Tallahassee left one person injured. The Tallahassee Police Department responded to a call just before 11:30 p.m. Saturday on the 3200 block of Mahan Drive. 46-year-old Nicole Cox stabbed the victim in the back. The victim suffered from non-life-threatening injuries. Cox is held on aggravated battery charges, according to TPD. The investigation was ongoing as of Sunday. Deputies with the Leon County Sheriff's Office are investigating what they believe to be a traffic fatality in the northeast section of Leon County. Investigators with the Sheriff's Office responded to a call of a deceased black female on the side of Highway 12 just after 2 p.m. Sunday. Officials say the roadways near 800 block of Fairbanks Ferry Road entering the county from Havana were closed for several hours as the investigation was underway. Officials are also asking members of the community if they have any information regarding the incident to contact the Sheriff's Office. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sun. Highs around 94. Winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected tonight. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows dip down to about 75. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 93. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 93.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on their clothes. with the hot dogs that they were making. We are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
Think? There was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Together a lengthy video of Bill Russell in his prime. And, Bill Russell before my time. I know I'm old. I was ready for your question. What was it like, Jeff, watching Bill Russell? I was ready for you to say that to me.
Yeah, when his games were on the radio and he was playing high school state championship games.
No, I did not see Bill Russell play. He was a 7 handicap in golf.
Of course he was.
Yeah. So
I'm pulling up a stat about winner take all games. Did you see that stat?
Oh, there's
yesterday?
A million stats that are insane for him. He's when you win 11 titles in 13 years and you win 2 at the University of San Francisco.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the guy from ESPN, Hembo, who you can take these stats to the bank. He does good research. Bill Russell played 21 winner-take-all games in his career in the NBA, Olympics, and NCAA tournament combined. His teams went 21-0 in those games. 10 of them were NBA Game 7s, and in them, he played 488 out of a possible 495 minutes in those 10 games. Played pretty much every minute, and averaged 29 a game. Wow.
There are no shortage of stories, dedication to both the sport and then himself as a man, intellectually and otherwise, growing all the time, right? And talking about like the things he did early in his life. Like he was able to broad jump 24 feet. He was a freak of an athlete, and he would spend. I read one thing that said he took 500 hook shots with his left hand and right hand before leaving every practice when he was in high school. 500 with each hand. If I get Bryce to take 10 free throws before we walk off the driveway, I'm stunned. I need to let him read that piece.
How is he at free throw shooting? Is he all right?
He's fine, but he'd be better if he took more shots. Yeah, no.
So fine is not good. When Papa says he's fine, that means he clanks way too many for my liking.
Yeah, I mean it's free throw. Let's go. You got. But he won 5 MVPs, 12 All-Star appearances, 8 straight NBA titles at one point. We talk about guys all the time, but go find that video. It's basically like a 5-minute long montage that somebody colorized some of the old footage. And you can watch this guy running and jumping and do just the level of the springiness. Like, I think most of us saw videos towards the end of his career, later when he's a player coach, that kind of thing. Not when he was really young in first few years in the league, changing the sport. It's insane. It's worth it. Anyhow, rest in peace to Bill Russell. There were a lot of dedications yesterday. And again, there's no shortage of material out there for you to go find, read, consume, and enjoy for a guy that was a great human being, as much as he was a basketball all-world, preternaturally great player.
I know it's a simple question to answer, and it's, a little rhetorical in nature, but why is it that colorizing photos or videos, like, it's just, it has a fundamentally different effect? You're like, oh my God, it's real now. It looks like a painting otherwise.
Yeah, it's weird when you see the They Will Not Grow Old. You see the movie where World War I footage was colorized, and you can see the soldiers talking to the cameras and doing things like that you'd never seen when you were growing up in high school. And then you watch a film like that, and you see death on the battlefield, you see the trenches, but it's colorized. And for some reason, obviously, it's much more relatable to our times.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
again, it's a simple answer, but it's every single time.
Yeah,
like
and
you can see a picture of Lincoln, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
I never knew he looked like
he's
that."
a real person."
Yeah, right.
Well, and when you get that footage, now they're able to take footage. And remember when you were a kid and you'd see footage of Babe Ruth or something, and it was always like it was choppy, and he's like running around the bases. Ding, 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 ding.
Are you playing ragtime?
Yeah, it was just
you playing ragtime?
Yeah, it was silly. It's just ding, 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 ding.
That could have been like a $50,000 pyramid or ragtime.
Yeah,
it
was awful. Point is, when you watch it, it would always be this choppy thing, and you're like, how the hell? But then when you see that they have been able to better fuse the film, and when you see frame by frame, there's a fluidity to it. You can see the weight transfer, you can see the swing, you can see the torque, you can see, so he was a big man for his time, and that swing plays even now when you see it, and it's not so choppy, it's not all broken up. I think that is kind of what we're talking about too. When you see that film of Bill Russell, you're like, oh man, look, that guy was really athletic. Well, yeah, dumbass. Go read about all the things that he did. Yeah.
Grandfathers everywhere. Like, I told you.
I told you there was nobody like him. Yeah. I get this. It's going to be weird when I'm ancient, which is not far from now. And I'm having conversations with my grandkids about Jordan. And they're like, Michael Jordan was something.
Always with the Jordan.
But it's going to be,
hey, it's Thanksgiving. I guess we're going to hear about Michael Jordan from Grandpa.
No, but just like, growing up, we heard, and I got to see the tail end of his career, certainly. My granddad would talk about Jack all the time, about, how Jack was the greatest golfer of all time, and and then all this time later, Tiger Woods comes around, right? So a whole generation of people have something that's very, very similar to Jack, right? It's rare. You gotta be thankful when you get it.
It's one thing as a student of history. I really felt like World War I never got its due.
Oh, you and I agree on this wholeheartily, but it has since.
Yes, it's become in vogue in the last 3 or 4 years.
Good.
Right, that started the chain. But it's like, it goes Civil War and then straight to 2. I'm like, one was pretty important now.
Still is. They Will Not Grow Old. Watch that. You love it. It's unbelievable. Because, again, when they get into the colorized part of it, you're just like, it takes your breath away to watch the death and destruction in that manner. And for whatever reason, you're right. It lends context to it in a way that just the still photos never did, or the grainy footage never did.
I mean, it's a breathtaking event because it combines the old for hundreds of years way of doing things in terms of battle, and then the new. It's just in a way, World War II is advanced. It was like, for us, it would almost be like 20 years from now, if we were in the teens in 1900s, laser warfare. They couldn't imagine what 2 was going to, like, that was just technologically from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
1 was the combination of crusades and what was to come.
Well, you had entire groups of people pulverized in World War I in a way that had never been done before.
Right.
So that kind of destruction wasn't possible on the battlefield prior to 1.
But yet there's so much hand to hand, like every other war. Tale as old as war.
I think I'd rather be blown to bits.
You and me both, buddy.
Man, the idea of constantly having to go through hand to hand, oh God, man.
One of the worst things, I saw a special on 2 and the experimental weapons, and the Japanese were trying to have a focused microwave weapon that burns you. And so they're test subjects, man. Like, could you imagine? Because it doesn't work. It only half works. It's like, oh, great.
Oh, man.
Great. I thought this was going to be quick and easy. No, apparently the microwave doesn't work.
This is the ability to join us, I should say. I have to catch myself. We have to be very careful how we describe these things.
All fans.
That's correct. Why don't you just post that up there, Tom, so we can all look at it together and celebrate as we round out the hour. The opportunity for all Seminole fans, right? There you go. All FSU fans for a limited time only. Warchant.com on 3 for $1. Wake Up Warchant, Seminole headlines, the Jeff Cameron Show, pre-games for football season, in-game for football season with Dominic Robinson, post-game, you and Gene. I mean, there is something for everybody at all times. Warchant.com on 3, $1.
The other thing I'd say too about the content here is if you've been going to warchant.com the last little while, most of it you could just get to. Whether you had a sub or not, you could get to it. That's not necessarily going to be the case for a lot of stuff that we do, a lot of the features that we bring to you that are unique to warchant.com moving forward. It's $1, man. I mean, inflation has rendered that at 50 cents. Yeah. Can't even play an arcade game for $1 anymore. But you can play with warchant.com and the experts here for one full year.
Oh, I remember the days.
What was the cost of a game of Pac-Man when you were young?
$0.25.
It already was $0.25.
It was $0.25, yeah.
Okay. I was hoping it was a nickel.
It was $0.25.
It would have been so cool.
I'm not.
Nickel.
It was $0.25. And if you went to Aladdin's Castle or any of the other,
which was always a higher price than other arcades.
Yeah.
Was that the same for you? Aladdin's Castle was always an extra.
So later on, though, if you did the thing where you put $5 in to get 25 tokens instead of 20, you could kind of offset that. If you were just going to go in for $1, they'd give you 3 tokens for $1. You're like, you son of a...
Really?
Yeah. They wanted you $5 for nothing.
That sounds right. They were always the annoying ones with $1.25. So you'd come in with a foldable, and then you had to find an extra quarter.
Yeah. No,
make it 2 at that point.
Yeah. By the way, so that was it Dragon's Lair? Is that the first animated game? I think it was.
Oh, what a fun game.
Yeah, but I remember being kind of annoyed because the fluidity of movement wasn't so good, but they charge you like $2 for that game. Good God, man. I'm getting killed in 5 seconds. It's pissing me off. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
You've heard the saying before, life is short, so why not savor it? Enjoy a chic and elegant dining experience in the heart of downtown Tallahassee with a vision for seasonally inspired and regionally sourced cuisine. Rub elbows with movers and shakers and cocktail connoisseurs at the bar and browse the carefully curated wine list. The one and only Savor brings more to the table for the most fastidious foodies. Relax, take it all in, and savor it. Online at SavorTallahassee.com.
Is your prostate secretly being destroyed without you knowing it? All the ads for these prostate pills like Super Beta Prostate, Saw Palmetto, ProstaStream, Prostagenics, and others. Want to know which pills work and which are garbage? Now you can. Get a free copy of the new guide, Prostate Secrets, that pulls back the curtain on the prostate pill industry. Learn what is really in these pills. Which pill has over 987 adverse event reports filed against it with the FDA? It's shocking. Learn the one food to avoid that is a prostate killer, and discover the 3 so-called health foods that destroy your prostate. Get your free copy at prostatesecrets.com. That's prostatesecrets.com. This free guide will show you how to end your prostate problems without drugs or surgery, 5 important things to do to protect your prostate, and much more. Warning, this guide is controversial and may be offensive to some readers as it pulls no punches. So go to prostatesecrets.com, prostatesecrets.com. That's prostatesecrets.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Another round of storms has hit disaster areas in eastern Kentucky, and the death toll rose to 30. Hundreds of people remain unaccounted for. Parts of eastern Kentucky received between 8 and 10 inches of rain. Last week, the National Weather Service says radar indicated up to 4 inches of rain fell Sunday in some areas, and more severe storms possible in counties that have been affected by the flooding. Critics say the Democrats' $700 billion Inflation Reduction Act is anything but. Bob Agnew reports.
A new study from the Penn Wharton budget model suggests the Democrats' bill is an inflation buster in name only. The bill would reduce cumulative deficits by $248 billion over the budget window, but the study says it would slightly increase inflation up till 2024 and decrease inflation thereafter by a number so small is indistinguishable from zero. As a result, the study indicates no confidence the bill will have any impact on inflation. Bob Agnew reporting.
Also at townhall.com, a newly released poll takes a look at support for President Biden among Asian Americans.
It's a Pew survey conducted just last month. It finds 55% of Asian American adults either strongly or somewhat disapprove of Mr. Biden's job performance, 44% somewhat or strongly approve. It's a nearly 30-point drop from the support the president enjoyed among Asian Americans in April of last year. At that time, Pew found 72% approved of Mr. Biden's job performance. Rich Thomason reporting.
Stocks wavering in afternoon trading and have turned lower. The Dow is down 84 points. The NASDAQ off 50. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon two factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Seminole fans, a buckaroo. Come on, everybody. What are you doing? It's $1.
We need to get T-shirts that just have $1 on them, so everybody gets it. You get the drill.
Just a buckaroo. There it is. Or you could put buckaroo on the back.
The buckaroo bonus.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Should be fun. Hey, yeah, you know what? The first pregame show of the year will happen this month. Myself and Tom Lang, the home opener, Duquesne. Come get you some Duquesne. It happens this month. This month. Not next. This one.
I'm so thankful, too, that it's a 5 p.m. kick. I was certain for a long time that given it was week 0, that was going to be ACC Network, 8:30 p.m. And it's 5. So pregame show will start at 2 o'clock that day.
Normal time. You know what's good about that 2 p.m. pregame show, buddy, is if you have a welcome back to town Friday night with some friends and family, good to have you back in town. You don't have to cut it short at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. You also probably ought not stay till 3 a.m. either. I'm just saying, if you one more, we could have one more together.
Right.
We could have one more. All right. Then I'm
Yes.
off to bed. And by the way, if I want to sleep till 8 a.m., I will.
Or 9.
Or 10 or 11.
10 is probably the cutoff, I'd say.
Probably, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you just
Still.
did a little prep work beforehand, Tom, maybe you wouldn't have. You can sleep till 11.
A little prepperson.
I cannot sleep till 11. Problem with our Midnight Madness show last night, that was a lot of fun and had a good time, is that it began at midnight. That's a problem. That's the worst part about the Midnight Madness, is that by the time I tried to put my head down on the pillow for much needed shut-eye, it was 1 a.m., 1:15 a.m. And you know how you're wired. You're geared up.
You got off light. We took care of you. Made sure that you were out early.
I wasn't out that early. I got out at 1.
It went till 2.
What? There was no reason for it to go till 2.
Yes, there was.
No.
Do you know how long it takes to extol the virtues of warchant.com? It takes a long time, about 2 hours.
I think the next year's version take about an hour and 15 minutes. Now it's all the way out there. But pregame show this month. I can't wait to do this because watching these practices as we did this morning and as we will again tomorrow morning, as they don the pads, you're going to learn a lot. And we'll know between this time and that time, that first pregame show, live from Indigo. That's going to be a good time. We'll be over there
Hotel
live from
Indigo.
Hotel Indigo. Great parking spot there for us, Tom, as it should be for the talent. We got a great spot there.
I heard that may be acquired. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'll
gonna
be
fantastic. Is what
you can set your roots there afterwards because your day is pretty much done from a coverage standpoint. I got to book it to go to the house. So
no, but I'm going to settle in there.
There'll be a spot opening up maybe for somebody else in the staff. We can just do a little switcherooski as I head home for the end game show.
But anyhow, the point would be, I can't wait to talk about all the things that we're going to learn in the coming weeks. I mean, we're already gaining and gleaning a lot of knowledge by going to these practices and seeing some of the guys that are a little bit more polished now than they were in spring, guys who put on size, guys who look to be stronger, guys who are competing at a high level for some jobs that are open, some veteran players that look like they are already ready to play, and some others that got work to do. I mean, there's everything in between. I'm not ready to state anything definitively about quarterback play just yet. This is where it will get interesting when we get the pads on. But I think I can say with a degree of certainty that we're going to be hard to run on. It's going to be a very difficult task to line up and run the ball against this defense. And then I'll tell you something else I think with a degree of certainty already that I feel based on these early practices. We are going to effectively run the ball.
There it is. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I was waiting.
Yeah, we are going to effectively run the football. I believe that to be true.
I was about to ask you a question that what's the best segment group on offense, just to tee up that discussion. Because their third or fourth best running back this particular season would probably be a starter 2 or 3 years ago, or one of the top 2, getting 50% of the carries.
Do you think their third best running back is the former walk-on or the walk-on?
CJ Campbell? No.
No, you think it's the Hill kid?
I think
right?
it's Rodney Hill.
Rodney Hill.
Yes, I think Rodney Hill
Yeah.
is more multifaceted. He's capable of doing a lot more things than Toafili is, but Toafili doesn't. That doesn't mean that Toafili doesn't have a role on this team. There's a couple things he does well. I don't want to get into it because maybe we would get in trouble.
Well, I think people know what he was last year is what he's going to be this year.
I think he's improved in one specific area, and I look forward to seeing that on the field so we can talk about it publicly. But again, I don't mean that is Toafili is going to get 8 to 10 touches a game. I don't think that's the player that he's going to be. Rodney Hill projects to be somebody who can get double-digit touches a game. Not this year, but in years to come.
I was going to say, you are crazy.
No, not this year. No.
But I thought
okay.
I was going to have to put my foot down and be like, what the hell kind of nonsense are you talking about?
If either Ward or Benson is out for a game, Rodney Hill is going to be a good player for you in a pinch.
Rodney Hill projects nicely. I like him a lot. I'm not saying you're wrong about his talent, but he's, you're right. If Benson and Ward are healthy, I don't even know if he gets 2 carries in a game. I mean,
he would on the 2019 Noles or the 2020 Noles. He get a lot of touches.
Yeah. Well, they're fine.
The player does a little of everything.
They're they're pretty well. They're well off when it comes to running back right now. They're not elite. There are teams that have better running backs than Florida State for sure in this conference. In this conference is what I'm talking about. I mean, several of them. But I think that Florida State is not poor at that position. They've got a potential real plus player in Benson. And we know Ward runs hard and does several things very well. He's an above average player too. From there, you have unique skill sets. You've got guys like Toafili who you're not giving him the ball 7 to 10 times a game at all. But I think he's more explosive, can catch the ball.
Yep, you can isolate him.
Yeah.
And they did that. How many times last year did they do that on a rail route or whatever?
Well, yeah, the biggest that Clemson play is great. But I think that carries over here, and he still looks explosive in that way. And he's got good hands for a running back. So I got no problem with that. Yeah, they're fine there. They're fine.
He's got a little Chris Thompson to him, to me, Toafili does, specifically when you get outside the tackle box.
Yeah.
Like, he can see the flow of the play, wait, and burst. Now, he doesn't have the same burst as Chris Thompson did. If that dude never got hurt, he would still probably be playing in the NFL and making money as a
eminently likable kid too, just a great player and hard worker. And his story is awesome. Christopher wrote last hour, and I want to get to this on Twitter at Jay Cameron Show. Is the Noles defensive line good enough that after the first 4 games, the offensive line would say that practice is tougher than the games? Christopher, it's the first time that you can say that in a long time and not sound crazy. I do think that the interior of that defensive line is a bear to deal with. They've got a lot of guys that play at a high level, low to the ground, huge bodies. Really, I mean, listen, when we're talking about defensive linemen, really offensive linemen too, you're looking for that base that you need to see a requisite big ass on these guys, and they have it. They do. And then I think they're better at defensive end than I thought they were going to be coming into camp.
That's important to say. Yeah.
So I don't want somebody to misconstrue that and say, oh man, Jeff thinks they're just as good as they were last year at defensive end. Look, last year you again had a first round draft pick playing defensive end. You had Jermaine Johnson, who immediately upon stepping foot on campus became the most pro ready player on the roster. That was a guy that right off the bat, you just went, oh my goodness, that is different. So you're not going to do that. But I will tell you, to answer your other question, Derek McClendon. Okay, I'm seeing the speed from him. I love Briggs. I loved Briggs last year before they cheap shotted him in the Louisville game. And Jared Verse is going to make some plays just because he's an athlete. He's explosively strong. I think he'll get caught occasionally, maybe out, maybe kind of working outside the scheme.
He might, but he's quick enough to make up for it, and he also knows what's happening to him. It's not for a lack of football IQ. I think that's really important because sometimes the implication there is, well, he doesn't know what people are running at him. Oh, he knows. He just believes that he has the makeup speed either to work it out, or he's going to make a big enough splash play that it's worth it. The risk is worth the reward.
So let me ask you this. When I answer this question from Chris, I would include in that mix of guys that are difficult to block. Obviously, Fabian Lovett and Robert Cooper. And we can't, let me say this. this will get you guys excited. And I'm not saying it to do that. I'm saying it because it's true. And because when I watch it, I think, oh man, that guy's a problem. Fabian Lovett is really not blockable when he's locked in and he decides that he's going to go. I don't know that they're going to block him too many times. Like out of 10 times, would they block him twice?
Who's they?
Well, right.
Our offensive line?
Any of our guards?
Yeah, if it's one-on-one.
Twice?
One-on-one, maybe twice.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like he's
but
an explosive.
You're never not. Yeah, you're going to combo him. You have to.
He's an explosive force who loves to play the game. His zeal for practice and those reps, those passionate, explosive, violent reps are fun for us to watch. Can't be fun for them to block. And I think that energy spills to the rest of the group. Like Jackson and Farmer and those guys are all playing lights out right now and having better reps than we would have guessed. Malcolm, Ray, kids, they've got a lot of potential there in the middle.
Yeah, Lovett does something that's just amazing to me. It's the ability to multitask and your brain being in two places at once. And I saw it back in spring when they were doing a footwork drill, but then they have the kid with the big pads and he's swinging and you got to get your hands up to defend.
Right.
So it basically, you're testing two parts of your brain because you have to stay in between the rings. So there's a very specific track that you need to go on, but then you have to have the wherewithal to be like a boxer and work with your angles and get your hand speed up. The speed of that dude's hands, you can't get on him. And that's the key for any lineman is if I get my hands on you, you're not going anywhere. His ability, I mean, it looks like karate. He's unbelievably fast. And then you combine that with his explosiveness from the lower half. That's why he is the player he is, and he's going to affect the pocket and affect the backfield against the run the way that he will. I mean, you've got a run stuffer in Cooper, but then you just got a dynamic interior player in Fabian.
Yeah, and so if you get average to above average play from the ends, and then we already have talked about how good Kalen DeLoach was at the end of last season. He looks good right now. And then
he looks fresh, doesn't he?
He does. He looks good. Yeah, he's playing well. And then we know Tatum Bethune is just the standard when it comes to consistently good practice.
2 or 3 times of practice. Ooh, oh man.
You know, one thing I'll notice, and I hear it myself when I go back to listen to shows to see what we're doing well, what we're doing poorly, and where I need to get better. I noticed that one thing you and I do, and it's just because I think like a lot of people, we take for granted, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just let people know every now and again that it's not that they're not doing anything. We take for granted the play on a daily basis of Fabian Lovett and Tatum Bethune. So we rarely mention them. Like we've mentioned Tatum Bethune from the spring a lot because, wow, we have an honest-to-goodness, down-to-down linebacker that we trust. It's been a while. Been a minute. But Fabian Lovett is just, you're kind of like, oh, well, that's just Fabian. Fabian's just dominating because that's what he does. As opposed to coming in here and saying, man, Fabian Lovett had a good day today. We don't do that a lot. It's because we just assume he's going to play well every day because he does.
Yeah, and the thing that I've seen from him is just a variety of ways to affect the play. He's not a one-trick pony. He doesn't just use his strength. He doesn't just use speed or a finesse move. He's got a total array, which means that pre-snap, if you're doing your homework on the kid, it actually probably makes you feel worse than if you did no homework on him if you're an opposing offensive lineman because, oh my God, he could do this. He's got 5 different things that can make me look like a fool. And I need to be ready for all 5 of those things. Hopefully there's a tell pre-snap or whatever it is. But that's what makes him consistently good every day is he has developed a repertoire of a whole bunch of things to keep you off balance. And the thing that I noticed about him too, I think it was yesterday's practice. These things all tend to blend together when they're consecutive days like we've had them. But he will pull his younger segment mates aside and give them instructions. I don't think that's always been the case with him, but he has graduated up a level in terms of making sure that he's engaged to set an example, but then also if he sees something, he's going to help a Daniel Lyons or a Bishop Thomas or one of the other younger guys.
Yeah, I think that's true, and that's exciting. You want to see players doing that for one another. It's the best thing I can say about Jordan Travis so far.
Yeah. Yeah, he has been very involved that way.
Much more involved than he's ever been at any point. We got to ask the question in the chat, 3rd and 10, who are our 4 linemen? How do we line up? It's straightforward. It's Derek McClendon, Fabian Lovett, Robert Cooper, and Jared Verse. That's who that's going to be.
Yeah, because you're going pass rush.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
Well, I would put Briggs in there.
Briggs in for Cooper, probably. Right?
Yeah.
Slide him in.
You're right. Yeah. Briggs in for Cooper. You're right.
Now, look, that's not a schematic thing that I've seen, but you're just going
well,
by.
You can slide him inside. Yeah.
Because Briggs has that crossover ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been everywhere, so he understands the rules. Like, remember when DeMarcus Walker was here, and man, what a pass rush that was.
Slide
on third
him
and
inside
forever.
against the guard, and he'd kill him.
Third and passing, that was your ass.
Yeah, so Dennis Briggs, you're right. That is correct. It's Verse and it's Briggs and Lovett and McClendon, we think. On third and long, we know you're passing.
That's without any practice insights. You just look at the rosters, like that's who you were going with.
Yeah, those are the players that have the best chance to get home.
Is interesting.
Oh, yeah, 3rd and 4 is different. That's correct. So, yeah, that's okay. All right. I feel good about that. And then the other question I think we had, getting back to the chat before we move on here, yeah, you're right. Somebody pointed that.
Somebody asked about CJ Campbell. He looks fine. There's nothing wrong with CJ Campbell. In fact, he had a couple moves today that were just so silky smooth. They're just loaded at running back. Again, they don't have a Heisman Trophy winning or a Heisman Trophy candidate at running back this year, but they're just so solid up and down the lineup there.
Go Noles FSU asked, how does Leonard Warner look? Can he contribute at all? Yes. Yes, that's straightforward. Yes, he actually had a great play today. I don't think a lot, but I think he's going to contribute and help you. He's experienced and he does what he's supposed to do.
Is there something that you're seeing and you're like, that looks good, but I'm skeptical that it's going to work on game days? And I don't know, it might put you in a trap about going into specifics.
Yeah.
One thing for me is, and this is something we've talked about for years, so I don't feel like I'm giving anything away. It's just coverage from linebackers. I think I'm seeing a lot better coverage from the linebackers this year, and that makes me excited. But I'm not willing to say they're going to cover better just yet.
That is a fair thing to say. I have my doubts. They'll be better.
Oh, they're covering better.
Well, they'll be better. Are they much? They were awful in coverage last year. So
until the end, Deloach was a big
got a lot better, but that was still not the strong suit of that group. And I don't think it will be this year either.
I've seen Bethune flash the capability of doing it. Gaynor has come a long way from spring to fall. He looks better to me in coverage. But I don't know if that's mirage or not. It's the classic.
Yeah, I think, Tom, I'm going to guess it's a
Kane Doe is dominating camp. He can't be stopped. You know, it's like, well, is that real or is that because of what they're seeing?
By the way, I didn't think Kane Doe was dominating anything. There were others who did. I know.
Well, how about another one? Stanford Samuels is dominating reps in coverage. And it's like, well, was he?
Turns out he's covering bums. So Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Sellers Tile does it better for business owners, contractors, designers, and homeowners. Better design ideas, better quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring, better mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions. And Sellers makes it easier with their amazing showroom and first-class professionals. Maybe it's time to get Sellers working for you on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com for better style, quality, and design. Go with Sellers in Tallahassee. Call 656-8453.
Summertime is color time. This summer, why not spend your time off with a home improvement project? You can use this time to try one of the most popular DIY projects, painting. And you can find your favorite color with one of America's most popular paints, Benjamin Moore. Shop for all the best paint colors and paint supplies at Epps Decorating Center with 2 convenient locations in town. Find out more online at epsdecorating.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shannon Lord with Finn Chiropractic. We are primary care physicians, and you don't need a referral to come see us. Chiropractors not only help you get to the root cause of your problem, but it helps get rid of neck pain, back pain, and headaches. It makes your body whole and healthy on the inside. So if you or a loved one has neck pain, back pain, or headaches, make an appointment today to get to the root cause of your problem. Come see me, Dr. Shannon Lord, at finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com, because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hearth and Patio wants you to know now is the time to start thinking about your fireplaces. Yes, we know that temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 90s for the next couple of months, but now is the time to start thinking about upgrading those fireplaces. Not going to be using them? Get those fireplaces upgraded now. They can repair all makes and models of fireplaces. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Gentleman Show brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Going to happen? We get a bunch going now. Here we go.
Well, you heard it today. We had a truce, Corey and Austin and I, saying no trolling. It's the deadline.
Don't tell me you guys just picked up Soto.
Right. Yeah, don't do that. That's really rude over the next 24 hours.
The other news item of the day so far, as we talk a little bit about baseball there, we go to the NFL where Deshaun Watson's going to serve a 6-game suspension without pay. And there'll be some other things to point here to. If you look at the 15-page conclusion, there are some eye-opening sentences there. But I think if you're a Cleveland Browns fan and you can stomach this move, then you're probably relieved today that it's just 6 games. We'll have time to go through all of that later on. There's some interesting items within that 15-page report. But I don't want to dabble in that right now, damn it, because we've got my man Irashfel, Warchant.com, joining us as he's wont to do on Mondays, and I appreciate that. Hello, Ira. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm in a good mood, man. It's been fun going to these practices and watching an improved team play. I'm wondering the level they'll be able to get to before that first game. It's crazy to think we're in August, Ira. The first pregame show is this month. The first game is this month. Tomorrow, the first fully padded practice. We're learning a lot about this team. It's perfect timing, and perfect timing for us to have this great $1 deal. Come on, everybody, jump on board, man. We've got something. We're loaded for bear every day of the week. For those that don't know, calling all FSU fans for a limited time only, $1 for 1 year of Warchant.com on 3. That deal you cannot beat. It's a buck. Come on board. Let's go. Ira, thoughts so far? What are you most excited about? What are we looking at here in practice that has you kind of thinking, all right, that's different?
I mean, I don't know if there's one specific thing. I just think when you look around the field, you just see more guys that look like what you need to see to compete at this level. You know, I think that, you know, like last year, you had a guy like Jermaine Johnson who really stood out. And I don't know if they've got another Jermaine Johnson, but they've got a lot of guys that can win football games at this level, and that's been lacking. And a lot of times when we're out there at practice, and it's funny you mentioned the access we have. You know, I was talking to some of the people from ACC Network because they started their road tour and they're here today. And,
yeah.
And one of the guys from the ACC said, you know, this is amazing that you guys get to watch every practice. Like nobody else gets this. And so we do have that luxury of kind of seeing this thing up close and personal. And really 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we didn't have that access, but when we saw them in games, you're just like, man, they don't have enough guys to compete at this level. And now that's totally different. I mean, I think you look at running back, the upgrade at running back, the upgrade on the offensive line, the upgrade on the linebacker is significant, and the upgrade in the secondary. I mean, I think that's at least 4 positions where I feel like they are markedly better than they've been the last several years.
I agree with that. I cannot believe – I have to pinch myself every day we're at practice when I watch the competition on the offensive line. I mean, they legitimately sub out 5 guys for 5 others that could start for you, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. And Ira, I don't think we could say, either one of us, that has been the case. I don't even know that we could have said that back in 14-13. Like, I think they had a good starting 5, and they got very lucky that nobody got hurt in the 2013 season on the offensive line, at least not prolonged injuries. They weren't – I don't know if they were this deep. Now, they were more talented. Their starting 5 were more talented, but I don't think they were this deep.
Yeah, you that offensive line had, you looked at it and said, okay, there's at least 3 guys on this line that can play in the NFL, and did that. Cameron Irving, obviously, Brian Stork has his career cut short, but certainly had the ability. Trey Jackson played up there a little bit. So, you had guys in that offensive line that were that kind of player. And Rick Leonard, I think he was back there at that time. But you look at what they have right now, I don't know, if they've got a bunch of NFL guys, but you have maybe a hair below that, plus you have that depth. So you don't have that major drop-off. And, we saw it last year and we talked about it. But, the fact that Devontae Love-Taylor last year was playing with, basically one arm, and then you had Dylan Gibbons, there were weeks he didn't even practice, but he would play in the games. And then you had, Robert Scott playing on a bum ankle. You just didn't have an opportunity to get anybody healthy. And now they have that. Plus the competition is so much better in that second and third group that, that just didn't exist. Last year, the offensive line, once you got past the starting center or the starting tackles, I mean, it was just a free-for-all for the defensive players. And now it's a good battle. So it's just that part's really exciting.
Yeah, to give the listeners a better idea of what we're talking about, you have a legitimate competition right now, I think, at right tackle. And I won't get into all the names and everything like that, but I mean, I think you have a legitimate competition for the right tackle spot. I think you are seeing a legitimate competition for the right guard spot, and that hasn't been settled yet. And transfers have come in and been given opportunities, and they may win these jobs, the tackle and the guard spots there. You have a legitimate battle between Caden Lyles and Maurice Smith at center that's taking place, and we all knew it would, and we don't know what that's going to look like from there. I know that we all expect that Robert Scott Jr. and Dylan Gibbons are going to be the starters on the left side, and knock on wood that they'll stay healthy and be able to do that. But if Bryson Estes had to come in the game for Gibbons, I don't feel terrible about that. I think he looks good. I think he's taken a big step forward, and he's got the right body for it. The point is that, whoever wins those jobs, the other guy that's competing with those people right now for those spots are guys that look pretty good so far. Now, we're putting on the pads tomorrow, but, man, we have not been able to say that in a long, long time.
Yeah, and you can get a feel, in shells, you can get a feel for offensive line, defensive line. And I think, you're seeing, again, that growth there. I also think, I think Mike Norvell mentioned it the other day that, Darius Washington has been a little limited. So, I think as he gets
right,
totally good. And I mean, I think that's another guy it's a big factor in there as well. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the starting 5 ended up being a group we actually haven't even seen yet necessarily in total. But the best thing, again, is if a guy's struggling, you have options. Or if a guy is banged up, you have options. And that's just so different.
So we were just talking a moment ago before you joined us, Ira, about the defense. And if people were to say, pin me down and say, what's something you feel pretty certain of? I'd say that I think this team is going to be hard to run on. Would you agree with that? I think teams are going to have a hard time lining up and running the ball against Florida State's defense.
Oh, 100%. As long as as long as you have some discipline from the ends and the edge setters, yeah, I don't have any doubt. I think it's going to be really difficult to run up the middle on this group because, again, it's not just the starters, Lovett and Cooper, but it is the backups. I think Jared Jackson continues to show so much potential. Josh Farmer, he's everything we thought he might be in year 2, and he's certainly that. They've got a lot of depth there. And then the linebackers, I mean, we were talking about today when we were watching practice that, when Kalen DeLoach and Tatum Bethune are out there, you have two smart linebackers who are communicating and taking on a leadership role, making sure everybody's getting aligned correctly. Again, man, these are all things we haven't seen. Now, does it mean they have more talent than a LSU or a Clemson or even a Florida? Probably not. We'll see. But that is such a big deal because now you're not giving up any of the cheapies. Like, you're not just giving up yards and first downs and sometimes touchdowns. You're making other teams earn it, and that's just it's so much better than what they've been.
Perhaps an indication of how excited we've been on a daily basis with the consistency of performance. I'll ask you this next question. Any chance that Azareye'h Thomas continues to grow to a point where he starts for this team this year?
Tell you what, he's going to be hard to keep off the field.
All right.
I will say this. I thought my outside pick to win the starting cornerback job opposite of Amarian Cooper was actually Jarian Jones. I thought we didn't see much from him last year, but I think got more in talking to people around the program. A lot of people think he's got a lot more ability than what he's shown. And, and he has had a good camp. But I think the fact that they're looking at him more in the slot is kind of a backup to Kevin Noles and maybe as a guy, maybe as an extra, dime back at times.
Mm-hmm.
I think that means, again, looking for ways to get their best defensive backs on the field. And I think Azareye'h Thomas is just going to be tough to keep off. Now, my guess is you'll mix him in. I don't know that you'll throw him out there from week one, especially when you don't know exactly what you got in the pass rush or week one or week two. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's in there early this season because you're not seeing anything that's a red flag. Marcus Woodson said today he wants to see him in full contact with full pads tomorrow, to see him tackling guys to the ground. He said he's awesome in 7-on-7. We have to see what he looks like in full contact, tackling guys to the ground. But man, seeing how competitive he is, I don't think he's going to fail in that. And it's going to be hard to keep him off the field.
It's crazy. I like asking the question because I knew you'd have to stop and think about it for a second because we're all so far watching this kid who makes plays every single day we're out there. And all that's left for him to do now is make those plays in fully padded practices. Like, do you do that in a scrimmage? Do you do that when they're scheming against you and trying to fool you and where you can't guess or you can't cheat because you've seen something a million times, right? Like that's what he's got to prove. I don't know that he won't, man. That guy, it's hard to bet against him right now. Brother, I'll talk to you later. It's always fun. We'll talk again tomorrow when we're at practice watching these guys in full pads.
Thanks, Chef. See you, man.
Yeah, be good. I do. I get downright giddy when I think about the possibilities for him. He's so athletic and long and smooth. He's instinctual. He plays the ball well. Let's see if he tackles. But I don't. I think he's going to tackle. I don't think he's soft.
No, I think it's just one of those deals that's the final challenge. When you hear a coach say he's as good as anybody when it comes to 7-on-7s or shells, 11-on-11. I just want to see what he does when the bullets are flying live. Well, yeah, I get that. He's only a true freshman, so he's passed every test. There might be a little learning curve tomorrow, Thursday, and the first scrimmage, but if he's putting himself in a position to make plays right now, what's going to stop him with some leg pads on?
I want to own something here that I feel guilty about because we were this close to being able to celebrate instead of lament. But Tom, prior to today, our unofficial count between you and me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Prior to today, our unofficial count had Florida State properly executing a catch on 27 consecutive punts. And they weren't all layups. Some of these you had to range far to the right, come charging up, sprint back, look over your shoulder.
Little weeble wobbles in the air.
Yeah. Charge over to your left, make an adjustment, wind blown, all that stuff. We had 27 consecutive catches. And I'm going to tell you this. Of those 27, unofficial count, folks, of those 27, 23, 24, easy catches. They weren't even strained.
Right.
They
Not
were
degree of difficulty,
no.
just the body language and the
Right.
execution of the catch.
willingness to make a catch and make it look easy, like it's old hat. We had, I mean, Micah, no problem. I mean, the kid they brought in.
So
Yep, that's right. And then also Pokey. So those guys were making catches without a problem. We were like, okay, all right, what do we got here? So today, Tom says to me, while we're watching practice, we're coming up on this significant number of 30 consecutive
unofficial
30 consecutive punts caught. And Tom says, if they catch these next couple, when they get up on 30 here, you should take a selfie video. Although I don't know if I get in trouble for that.
We would have asked permission before we posted it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was gonna hold up the camera from where we were there at Dick Hauser, because it's right down below us where we're watching these punt returns. And I'm like, okay, well, we can do that. And this would have marked number 30. And it would be
no, you wouldn't have been able to get the play behind you. It would have been your reaction to it. So it would have just been you going, yes.
I think we should get the play and ask if we could post it. They might have wanted us to post it. It's just a catch. It's a punt. What the hell are we talking about? Anyhow, we'll never know because he dropped it. We'll never know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we could or we couldn't, because he dropped it. And then, and I probably broke protocol there. I yelled out.
Everybody, because a lot of people in the Warchant corner, I like to call it up there, were invested because the attention had been called to the moment.
I've been pointing to this every day we've been out there.
It wasn't like there was 11 on 11 war going on somewhere else. It was very squarely a special teams silly time.
We were locked in.
And I believe you could hear from Warchant corner a bunch of people going, oh! And then there was a slam of something on
I slapped my notepad on the bar and yelled GD. Because I wanted us to get there. It was that close, and it didn't happen.
I couldn't look for about 10 seconds to see if any of the staff were like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, they probably felt the same thing I felt. And then, so to make it worse, so that happens. We've upset the apple cart, came up just short. Let's start fresh, start anew, start tomorrow. And number 29 drops it. I'm not talking about the number of the player, but what would have been. So 28 is dropped. 29 is dropped. 29 is dropped. It's right in the middle of the chest. The whole thing fell to pieces.
So then I think we could do this too, because we know that Pittman's one of the guys. So he's in the rotation, and we're like, all right, well, he'll start a new streak.
Yeah, he'll catch it.
Well, he had to call Peter because the ball was not catchable. I'm like, oh no.
But I didn't get mad about that because that's not a drop in that ball.
No, it's not a drop, but it's just you want him to be the one to set the new tone. He couldn't even do it.
We just had
and then things went fine after that. Things were fine. But yeah, that was an unfortunate moment today. That was the one time in the last two camps combined that you've been invested in special teams.
Because
really
we were approaching 30.
And then you were heartbroken.
But that's what I get for investing in special teams. That's what I get. Here I was on the edge of my seat. Oh, we're coming up on 30 straight catches. Guys, this is unheard of. Here we go. Tom gives me the idea to take a picture for number 30. We're already at 27. I'm feeling good about it. And then it's broken. It's all broken.
You know what, though? It's like Aguayo's missing 13 at Wake Forest.
It's Wake.
It's out of our system.
Aguayo told me he would never miss another kick after the Wake Forest miss.
And he didn't lie.
Didn't lie.
I choose my own history.
Mm-hmm. But then, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it. Anyhow, we got to start fresh at 0. I'll keep the count for you guys. I'll let you know. It was a nice run while it lasted. It was worthy of us celebrating. 27 consecutive catches on punts before it all went to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, man, you got 3 more days this week that are observable, then 5 next week. 2 of them are in Jacksonville.
Well,
you can get to that number real fast.
Yeah, but I won't be in Jacksonville. I'm not going to Jacksonville for practice, so I'm going to have to.
You're not setting up a plastic table in the middle of the sun-soaked field?
No, I don't care that much.
No?
I don't care that much. I'll be right here. I'll have somebody tell me whether they caught it. But it's not a real trustworthy thing there. I don't know. We'll see. Because my count's the official count.
The official, unofficial count.
I'm taking close stock here of what's going on with these punt returns.
It's an unofficial count, though.
But it is pretty official when I say it. It may not be exact, but it's pretty official. I'm, if anything, I'm shortchanging them a few punts.
I think, okay, how about this then? To integrate into the experience, either on the boards or your Twitter account tomorrow when practice is over, just tweet the number of consecutive. And just no context.
No context. Just
not
that.
even a hashtag. Just if it's like 7.
It's my first post on 3.
Yeah.
I just put 7 for 7.
Yeah, as a message board thing. People
People are like, what
is Jeff 80? Is he Bob Ryan trying to use Twitter?
I'm going to put 7 for 7. 12 for 12. 9 of 11. 9 of 10.
That's all you do. That's all you do on 3 is you post consecutive catches for punts.
I will do that.
All right.
I will do that.
Somebody's going to have to teach you.
Well, no, I know how to post.
You do?
You go on there and you post. I could do it right now if you wanted to. It's not hard. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
An arrest has been made following the death of an 11-month-old that died after being left in a hot vehicle. The child's mother, 28-year-old Tia Washington, has been charged with felony aggravated manslaughter of a child after an investigation determined she inadvertently left her infant son in the vehicle for hours while she worked her shift at Big Bend Hospice. The child was found unresponsive and died at the scene. Washington turned herself into the Leon County Jail on Friday. The Tallahassee Fire Department responded to a residential fire Friday afternoon. The fire occurred in the 1900 block of Chimney Swift Hollow. Upon TFD's arrival, they found heavy smoke and fire coming from the garage of a single-story house. TFD acted immediately and successfully kept the fire primarily contained in that area. And despite it having reached the attic, the firefighters managed to prevent the fire from spreading further. No residents were in the house during the incident. The resident was alarmed by the smell of smoke and was alerted by the smoke alarm. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Chance for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sun. Highs around 94. Winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected tonight. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows dip down to about 75. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 93. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 94.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so talking about the C word, so you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
I think we reference it every other year, but it's the Staples commercial with the dad dancing in the aisles.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun last night walking into my youngest son's room saying, Don't you have a book to read before you get to school? You had a summer reading? I did. Have you started? No. Guess what tonight is? Just
Which son is this?
My youngest. That'd be Clark.
So what's he reading?
It's a Mark Twain book, but I did not look at which one they assigned him, which is great. When he told me it was Twain, I was like, well, it's going to be great, so read it. And he's like, well, I'm like, all right. I'm done asking.
What's the worst book you ever had to read for school? You remember? Poisonwood Bible for me.
That I had to read.
It was like 675 pages. What kind of crack are we smoking in this English department? Are you kidding me? I read 0. I faked it.
You and half your class.
Yes, absolutely.
I
Self-indulgence from the teacher.
No, I think almost every book that I was ever forced to read or asked to read, I actually ended up enjoying. I don't think there were too many times where I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't think so.
Clearly, you were never assigned the Poisonwood Bible.
I was not. But I'm trying to think. No, I never had anything like that. It was never like, hey, you got to read this 750-page book. That never happened. They were all your classics that everybody makes you read growing up, and I liked all of those. I remember pretty distinctly Mr. Launchy. I wonder if Mr. Launchy's still alive. Anyhow, Mr. Launchy was a great English teacher. I loved him. Literature. He would give us choices. That's really what it was. He'd put like these 5 books out of these 5 you have to read 2 or something like that. So
I like that.
Yeah,
there
so you had choices. So it's always like, okay, well, I know I don't want to read that. That doesn't interest me at all. But this looks good. Oh, Steinbeck. Okay, cool. And you could pick that.
Little Vonnegut.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Love that all day long. So trade deadline is today, and I'm wondering. I don't know. Am I going to race home and find out that 5 or 6 moves have been made here? Because I thought it was going to be very active. We've had just the Josh Hader deal up to this point, right?
Yeah, the Yankees got one of the guys from the Cubs earlier today who's under team control for a long time. I forget, he's got a 2 ERA. I mean, there's no big names where a casual baseball fan would be like, oh, that guy moved? It's inside baseball so far, I'd say.
Yeah. We'll do probables momentarily. First, Tom, if you would put it up on the screen for those watching, another reminder, $1. $1. I'm calling out to all you FSU fans out there. You cannot get a better deal than this. You can continue to engage in all that we offer here at warchant.com. $1 for 1 year on 3 is where you got to go to do it. But I would say it's not only a great investment, but we're adding to what we do. I mentioned it earlier in the show. Tom and myself will be doing pregame shows for football this year like we did last year. Looking forward to it. The in-game show, Aslan and Tom will be doing with Dominic Robinson, and Dominic coming in here and breaking down what he's seen from both the coverage standpoint, but also what they're trying to accomplish offensively. He's immersed himself in that his whole life, loves it.
And he's not afraid.
He's entertaining. It will be a great intrigue. And then I think you'll learn something too. Post game, of course, Tom and Gene do that every year, and they'll do it again this year. So we've got you covered from the pregame show to the in-game to the after the game. Of course, Wake Up War Chant, Jeff Cameron show, Seminole headlines. We've just got a ton going on right now, and it's exciting time. So for $1, there you go. All FSU fans, warchant.com on 3 for $1.
A lot of folks have not tried it out yet. Not like scores of you, but 30,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel. We got 30,000. So I'll bet a few of you have never been to warchant.com for a subscription before. Here's your chance.
For $1.
Give us a year.
$1. Forget about it. Cue it up, buddy. Let's do some probables, shall we? Let's get this thing going.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
It's the damnedest thing. It's like this summer cold. I don't have a cold, but I'm just stuffy. I can't seem to shake my stuffiness.
It's going around. You heard Ira during the phone call, too. I think it's a lack of sleep.
Well, that's for sure. That'll be the last Midnight Madness we ever do. Reds, Marlins, Hunter Green, TBD, Mets, Nats. You're so much more relaxed when this series is played now.
Yeah.
There was a time, sir, where you'd be like, here we go.
Well, and also, if baseball is being baseball and the Nats rise up for a game or two, I promised myself if they won 4 out of 6 from the Marlins and the Nats, that's good. And they swept over the weekend. So just,
Good. Yeah.
win one and everything's a bonus.
Mets, that's Max Scherzer, Patrick Corbin. Mariners, Yankees, Marco Gonzalez, Domingo Germán. D-backs, Guardians, Zach Davies, Cal Quantrill. We got the Tigers and the Twins, Tariq Skubal and Aaron Sanchez. Orioles, Rangers, Spencer Watkins, John Gray. Red Sox, Astros, Nathan Eovaldi, Luis Garcia. Royals and White Sox, Brad Keller, Michael Kopech. Rockies, Padres, Antonio Cincitella and Mike Clevenger. And finally, rivalry matchup. Please nobody get shot. Seems to happen every time these two get together. Dodgers, Giants. Luckily, this game's in San Francisco.
The director was like, what is he talking about? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Dodgers. Giants.
Andrew Haney and Logan Webb, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. I'm envious of Director Matthew and you and all my friends of the area that are Braves fans, for example. Like, all you guys have playoff baseball implications on a nightly basis. And I'm tuning into a team that is speeding towards 110 losses. It's a toughie.
It's unfortunate. Sorry for you.
Yeah, it's a toughie.
The goal, though, is to play less postseason baseball between the Braves and the Mets, because the winner of that division figures, unless the Central gets hot, to have a bye, an MLB playoff bye, the first of its kind.
Yeah, I am envious of the opportunities that you guys have. Not me. Good work out of you, sir. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. It's $1. What are you doing? Let's get $2. It's $1.